My name is Caesar, the mic ruler, the old killer. You let it trip, I'll bring it to ya. Fry locking on one top, run you like a cop. See what you up next, what you got. Be quiet, make the money see. Be quiet, get the honey see. Driving in my car, living like a star. I know my fingers in my throat and I'm a tongue. No nice, exactly.
This is I Will Be Heard. You saw the intro. You already know what it is. Let's get into it. So I want to talk about a couple things. The primary thing is corruption. Now, you may say, well, I know about corruption. I'm not saying you don't. I'm not here to tell you things you don't already know. I'm here to tell you things you already know, but merely expand on the idea. I have some things written here. You can't see it. But almost imagine you're licking a Tootsie Pop, and you want to get to the center of that Tootsie Pop. You don't know how, though. You just know you got to lick it. I'm here to help you get to the center of that Tootsie Pop. I'm merely here to help almost expand, while simultaneously, that's a big word, condense the target in which you're trying to understand here. Corruption, right? So, I want to start off. Corruption. We all know it. It's very common in American life. It's fundamental almost now. You can see it in the people in power. It's obvious. The insider trading, the being on boards of military industrial companies, Raytheon, Northman Group, so forth and so on. So I want to talk about kind of the mechanism which makes that happen, right? The almost infatuation with power that comes from this. So I want to... Let's start off with a history lesson, okay? Gaius Julius Caesar, Emperor of Rome, possibly one of the greatest generals in all of human history, known for 2,000 plus years. You all know him, and if you don't, I don't know what the fuck you've been doing with your life if you don't know Gaius Julius Caesar. Almost as well known as Christ himself. Almost. Okay. Gaius Julius Caesar's life is plagued by one thing. Throughout his whole life, he's plagued by one thing. Do you know what that is? I'll let you ponder on it. I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. He's plagued by one thing, and that thing is treachery. He's plagued by treachery on all levels. By soldiers, by government, by friends. Treachery. Now, let's expand on this treachery that he incurs. Julius Gaius Caesar, the man of Rome, he's indebted to Pompey, a rich, one of the richest men, probably the richest man in Rome at the time. Pompey, a senator, part of the triumvirate. There were 3, Crassus, Caesar, and Pompey. Now, Cassius dies because he's greedy and he's stupid. So what history says, that's what I'm saying. That's not necessarily true. He was obviously a smart man if he made it that far. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, after he dies, Pompey goes to the Senate. After Julius Caesar has conquered Gaul, which is France, he's crossed the Rhine, which is a river that separates Germany, France, and Belgium, I think. Or it's France and Germany. Crosses the Rhine, crosses back over, crosses over to Brittany, over ship, kills some British people, some Bretonians, leaves. In Rome, Pompey has controlled the Senate. He says to the senators, Gaius Julius Caesar is corrupt. Gaius Julius Caesar is a traitor to Rome. Gaius Julius Caesar has used his armies to enrich himself and not the people of Rome. Treachery is what this is. Because that's not true. That's obviously not true. As we all have 20/20 vision. What is that term? Hindsight is 20/20. We, from now, can see that was not the case. Pompey wanted power for the sake of power, to enrich himself. Not Rome, not the people of Rome, not his culture, not his history, not his gods. He wanted power for himself. Now, you look at Gaius Julius Caesar. He wanted power for the people of Rome. He wanted to enrich the culture, enrich his gods, he wanted to improve Roman society. There are two types of power in the world: people who want power for the sake of power, and people who want power for the sake of bettering everything around them. Pompey was a man who wanted power for the sake of power to enrich himself. Gaius Julius Caesar, probably one of the most important men in human history, wanted power to improve Rome, improve the people, improve their way of life, improve their culture, everything. And you may say, well, what does that have to do with this treachery? I want you to think about this for a second. I want you to ponder. I'm going to use that word a lot, ponder. A man goes to the Senate, and he says to the Senate, this man who has done everything in the name of Rome is a traitor. He's used it to enrich himself. He's made dealings with enemies of Rome to enrich himself. We're going to give him the choice. Now, what does Pompey do in this treacherous act? He says to Julius Caesar, he sends out a warrant or a dictate, or a dictatorial, that's what the word comes from, dictate, or a dictation to Julius Gaius Caesar: disband your legions and come to Rome to face trial. Does that sound familiar almost? You will face trial for doing the right thing. For helping your people, you will face trial. That sounds very familiar, does it not? Now, I want you to think here for a second. An option has just come forth to Julius Gaius Julius Caesar. I keep fucking that name up. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm just going to say Julius Gaius Caesar. I understand it's incorrect, but it's just easier to say. And the orders come to him: disband your legions, come to Rome, face prosecution. Now, we all know what happens to Roman senators when they're given a choice of surrender. It's usually they're going to get stabbed, poisoned, or killed. Now, of course, Julius Caesar does later get stabbed, but that's not the point here. Well, that is part of the point, but that's not later till the point. And so, as you all know, Julius Caesar before he crosses the Rubicon, he's asked one final time, are you sure you want to do this? And though he says the die is cast, he has no option but to do what he's about to do: start a civil war in Rome. Right? He was given the option: die or win. Now, I want you to think about that. A day that cannot be named due to certain political events that occurred from it. A man has an option at this time. The man that cannot be named has an option: die or win. Now, if you look at the effects of this, the man that cannot be named, but many of you know him, very famous man, once was a great leader of the United States, hopefully to be again, says Julius Gaius Caesar crosses the Rubicon, a civil war in Rome starts. On that day that cannot be named, that man who was a leader had an opportunity: win or die. And he chose to die. And now look at him. He's being taken off ballots across states. Some states are being forced to put him back on. And other states are doing the other same, or they're taking him off the ballot. And you look at that instance, on that day that shall not be named. I will say, on that day that shall not be named, I was ready to go. If he said we're going for it, I would have done a lot of terrible things for that man. And I understand that maybe a lot of people don't disagree with that, but it was more about the notion of the nation than the man itself. The man itself was merely a figurehead, a almost leader, to point me in the direction of where I need to go. That was why I was ready to do whatever would have been necessary at the time. And on this day, he had the option of doing that. He could have said, Patriots, we're taking it all back. And I would have been ready to go. But he didn't do that. He chose to back down. He chose to go to the Senate and face prosecution. And look what they did to him. His mistake with this is, you always hear that term, draining the swamp. Draining the swamp. I don't think he was prepared. I don't think he was ready to realize it wasn't a swamp. It was a weed. A weed which roots are so deep and so ingrained into the foundation of American life. He realized this thing he's dealing with, this evil, rotten root, this weed, is much stronger. And I think he realized you cannot cut it off at the head. If you cut off the head of a plant or a weed, it grows right back. A dandelion will grow right back if you don't drag it up from the roots, or a pigweed, if some of you know what that is. If you do not drag it up by the roots, it will come back. So, what does Julius Gaius Caesar do? He fights Pompey in a civil war. He returns to the Senate, and he makes a fatal mistake that will cost him his life. He trusts people who are inherently treacherous. And as you all know the saying, et tu, Brutus, you too, my son, or you, my son. There's ways of saying it, I don't know. Et tu, Brutus, you too, my son. He's betrayed by his adopted son, not his literal son. It's a political thing over there in Rome at the time, where you would adopt children into your family, and they'd grow up to be senators in your party. Anyway, he makes the mistake of trusting these people who help put out a dictatorial, a warrant for the disbanding and arrest of Julius Gaius Caesar. And when he gets to Rome, he spares these people who are treacherous. Does that sound familiar? A man wins a almost pseudo-civil war in a nation that is the most powerful on planet Earth, and he gets into power, and his first mistake is what? Trusting the treacherous. Trusting those snakes. These treacherous people who are in power for the sake of power and money, not in power for the sake of the people. So this man, who's a man of the people, he gets into power, and he trusts snakes. You know what you do with snakes? You fucking chop their heads off. You don't let snakes continue to slither around, biting at your ankles, poisoning the nation. You grab them by their heads, you drag these rats and snakes, these venomous creatures, out of their hollows, and you smash their fucking heads on a rock. That's what you fucking do. You don't let these people continue to exist. That was this man who cannot be named's first mistake, and I support this man still to this day. But that was his mistake. Now you see his tone shift in a way that he says he understands that these people are snakes, but I don't think he still understands the necessity of what he's going to have to do. If you truly want to rid the nation of this almost ingrained corruption, and this corruption merely doesn't stop at the Senate or the House of Representatives or the DOJ, FBI, ATF. It goes all the way down from the top like rainwater falling off a roof. It is at your state, it is at your local, it is at your school board, it's at your fucking gas station. Nepotism. This corruption can only be dealt with in one way. Brutal, fast, and violent. And I'm not saying that's what you need to do, but I'm telling you, the only way this gets solved is not through peace. You cannot be peaceful with treacherous people. You need to be treacherous to these treacherous people. You cannot be honest to treacherous people. You need to lie to them, because they will lie to you and they will backstab you the first opportunity they get. That was the problem of Julius Caesar. He let these traitors, who he knew would betray him, who have betrayed him, and who have done it multiple times, continue to go on. Treachery cannot be permitted. When people betray you, you rebuke them, you disapprove of them, and you cast them out. So these traitors in Congress and these traitors in the House of Representatives, they cannot be allowed to go on. You need to be boisterous. You need to be forceful. You need to be loud. In order for this treachery to stop, the selling off of our nation to foreign interests, to foreign companies, to mega corporations buying all the land, for us to stop being slaves to corporations, to stop us being slaves to drugs, alcohol, this treachery that continues throughout the nation has to be pulled up violently like a weed and thrown in the trash or a burn barrel. And I have to be very careful with the stuff I say here, and I'm sure you guys understand why. Okay, we're back. I had to think of a way to say this that doesn't get me banned. You need to be a bulwark, a defense. You need to be an immovable object. You cannot concede or compromise anymore. The time for compromising is over. You know what you fucking do when your senators don't listen to you? You send them an email. Send your senators emails. Send your representatives emails. Send your congressmen emails. And you say, I will do everything in my power to make sure you don't make it to next election. And here's the thing. They cheat, they lie, they steal. Right? This is a fact. And they're probably cheating in the elections. But here's the thing. You need the authority. If you are a government, you need the authority of the people you govern to govern. If you have no legitimacy with your people, they will not respect your laws. They will not respect your rules, and they will not respect you, the people in power. So you have only one option as the people. You outnumber them 10 million to 1. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner they have less power. The Bundy Ranch incident, if you guys remember that almost possibly, I don't think it would have, kicked off the Civil War, where you had those farmers who wanted cattle to graze on land, wherever, federal land or something, I don't know. The government comes in, threatens them, militia from all across the country come in, outnumber the government 10 to 1. What does the government do? The government backs down. Because they know it is a unwinnable fight. They know they are outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1. So what do? They wait till the Bundy man's driving down a road all alone. Well, he's people with him, 3 or 4 people, I think, including him. So whatever that number would be. And what does the government do? They ambush him on a lonely, snowy road, and they fucking gun him down. The government has a habit of doing this. If you grow too powerful within a movement, they will corner you, and they will fucking kill you. And they'll get away with it, too. So you need to be solid. You need to be dense. You need to be articulate in what you say. Even I have a hard time, I don't know how well this will come to you guys. I want to speak in a language that everybody understands, but it's hard to do that when you have to tiptoe around everything so you don't get fucking obliterated by a laser. So if you wish for this problem to be solved, you need to be offensive in everything you say. Not offensive, offensive. On the attack. Your representatives don't listen to you, you attack them. Your senators and congressmen don't listen to you, you attack them. You send them emails saying, I will do everything in my power to make sure you don't get in the office next year. I will do everything in my power to make sure you don't get a fucking vote. I will tell everybody what you are. I will tell everybody you're scum. I will lie about you. Straight up to people. That's what sorry, burp. That's what's required. The time for losing is fucking done, because we're not winning. And we can't afford to keep losing like we are, where we have these treacherous senators who they appeal to people who aren't going to vote for them. They go, I love blank insert group, but that insert group's never going to vote for them. That's just the truth of the matter. So what do? They abandon their base, people like us. And they stab us in the back constantly. They vote for things we don't want because money, and they're lazy. And these people want power for the sake of power, not power to govern. And we need to elect people who have interest in governing. Because this government's, like I said, they're slowly losing the right to govern. And a situation's going to occur similar to that of the Bundy incident, where it's going to come to a head, and people need to be prepared. Now, I want to make this clear. Society is not going to collapse. There are very few instances in human history where society completely fucking collapses. Okay, there's always a form of society, whether or not it'll be feudal, whether or not it'll be pre-industrial, whether or not it'll be as it is now. These things aren't going to... Your way of life may change, but there will be society. It's just... the only times there isn't society is apocalypse. So basically Hurricane Katrina, or various other natural disasters. So like I said, I have to be careful how I say this, but the solution to this treachery of our senators and representatives and people in power, the way this gets dealt with is a brutal offense. You need to be jagged in your rebukes. You need to be jagged in your retorts. You need to be jagged and sharp in everything you do. And even though some of you were quite, I'm going to use this term, black-pilled, I want to bring up a game. I'm going to bring this game up in the future. But there's a I think it's called the Cosmic Game. It's a painting of Mephistopheles and Faust, if you know the story. And there's an angel looking over this game. It's a game of chess. Mephistopheles is a demon or the devil. I don't exactly know. Anyway, Faust makes a deal with the devil, and it's basically a time will tell. You make a deal for the now, and you don't think of the later. Anyway, they're playing this chess game, and if you're just the average Joe, and you look at this painting, it looks like Faust is gonna, or Mephistopheles is gonna win. Mephistopheles looks smug. He was like, I got this fucking guy, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And Faust looks defeated. He looks like, man, I'm fucked. Now, if you look closely at the painting, though, it's got a little deeper meaning than the devil's winning. Faust has one move left. He has one move left. If he just pays attention, he can checkmate Mephistopheles and win. So, what's the takeaway from that? No matter how bad it seems, you can always make it better. You can always be better. You always have the opportunity to improve everything in your life. Though it may seem some things are out of your control, because they are, many things aren't. Your actions have consequences. All of you plays a very important role in history, whether you know it or not. Whether you're a man at McDonald's, whether you're a man at a CNC shop, whether you're a UPS driver, you play an important role in history. And maybe you don't realize that. Every man, woman, child plays a role in history. Example, one man has led to the death of probably 80 million people, or 100 million people. Gavrilo Princip, a member of the Black Hand, or as many of you know him, the assassin of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Starts World War I, starts World War II, right? The actions of this one man caused the death of probably over 100 million people, honestly, right? If he did not kill that man, if Gavrilo Princip, a member of the Black Hand, the man who murdered Franz, whatever the fuck, you already know his name. I can't get it. Too goofy name, right? If it weren't for him, picture where the world would be. There is no World War I if he doesn't murder him. There is no World War II if he doesn't murder him. There is no Korean War. There is no Vietnam. There is no Cold War. There is no invasion of Panama. There is no Gulf War. There is no Iraq War. There is no 9/11. There is no 30 years in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria murdering Muslims in the name of Christian democracy. There is none of that. Because of one man, as Julius Caesar, as the man who cannot be named, as many other men. So understand, you all play an important role in history. You all matter. And every move you make matters. Game is almost an infinite chessboard of infinite kings, infinite queens, infinite pawns, all making moves simultaneously to see who can win. So play it like a game of chess. Bide your time, and they'll slip. And when they do, you'll be there to pick up the pieces. I hope this makes sense to you guys, because honestly, I don't even know if it made sense to me. This is a Good Enough Gunner. This is I Will Be Heard. You already know what it is. See you next time, bitch.
My name is Caesar, the mic ruler.